For more on this, let's bring in Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor and Fox News contributor, and Ben Domenech, editor-at-large of The Spectator and Fox News contributor. Gentlemen, great to have you here. Ben, you've actually been outside walking amongst these folks, trying to defend the slaughter of the innocents on October 7th, and doing so openly, challenging Mike Tobin, our reporter, that there was anything wrong with it. Have you seen that kind of stuff on the street?
Absolutely, and it's really, I mean, it's heinous. It's unfortunate in the sense that, there's this honesty that's behind it, and you don't like to see that from fellow Americans. You're seeing some images now, by the way, that are just from yesterday of the people who I was among and looking at and talking to, and the things that they express are really heinous. You had a small group, by the way, of counter-protesters waving the flag of Israel, the flag of America, who walked around this perimeter. And I have to say, the Chicago Police Department did a great job of defending them and surrounding them as they were being heckled, and you had epithets being thrown at them. This is a group, though, that I think expresses a real opinion that is part of the Democrat coalition. And it's why you don't see the condemnation that you ought to see from Kamala Harris and her ilk for this moment. I mean, it should be very easy for them to condemn this as being un-American, wrong, and at odds with our interests as a country, and yet they aren't saying it, and there's a reason behind it.
Well, they're saying the contrary. We heard from Biden last night. I'm not going to play the soundbite, but we heard from Biden last night praising the protesters, not saying an ill word about them. And Charlie, you heard one of the protest cries, "Make it great like '68." To specifically to Ben's point, is that what they are afraid of? Are they afraid? Despite, by the way, they don't believe in walls at the border, but you better believe they believe in walls getting into the convention headquarters there, don't they? I mean, but they are desperately afraid. They are desperately afraid of this thing turning into '68, aren't they?
You better believe it, and they do love these walls. And quite frankly, the way this whole convention is being run right now, and in fact the entire primary has been run, I would argue that probably Democrat power brokers probably feel pretty confident that they have this fairly contained, at least in terms of too much disruption inside the building here. This is the way they like it. They recognize what's going on outside the building. But to Ben's point, and I think this is so important, you're always going to have crazy people with crazy beliefs. But what's really shocking here is that the highest leaders of the Democrat Party in this building today are still courting these people and their votes. They still want their votes. And unfortunately, the media, the political media, because Kamala Harris refuses to answer any basic questions about her policy positions, she's hiding from expressing any of them. She's not answering any of the important questions about this issue. And her hope is that if she just hides from it long enough and they get through this convention without some really ugly disruptions, then it will be a victory for her.
But Ben, I'm just wondering how many undecideds, both Trump and Harris, need the undecideds to win. The Democrats just voting Democrat aren't enough for her, and Republicans just voting Republicans aren't enough for Trump. Do you think any undecideds have been turned off by the way they're pampering and appeasing these protesters?
Well, I think that as this goes forward, you're only going to be able to pamper and appease them for so long. I mean, they're demanding all these different things in terms of their expectations from Kamala Harris. And to Charlie's point, he's completely right. The reason that they're playing this footsie is because they want to still have these people come out and vote for her in the end of the day. Amazing. And I mean, it's at a certain level, it's ridiculous. It's one of these things where, it's very obvious the game that she's trying to play, and she's counting on the vast majority of the media to not call her out for it, to not make clear what is actually going on, and to just pretend that this is, the normal kind of, protest that you see. It's not normal. No. This is something that's far more severe, far more anti-Semitic, and at odds with everything that we believe in as a country. It should be easy to condemn it, and because she isn't, that sends a message.
That's right. It should be easy. It's a no-brainer, but for some reason, there aren't a lot of brains in that room, at least on this issue. Charlie, very quickly, finally, speaking of playing games, always wondering, a lot of people in the economic sphere, whether these downward revisions of the job numbers were going to someday show up and show us that, in fact, there are a lot fewer job numbers. Well, we got news today, I think it was originally from Bloomberg, that the jobs number is really being revised down by hundreds of thousands of jobs to the point where they're still growing a little bit, but a real genuine slowdown we're in the midst of right now.
Yeah, we're talking, north of 600,000 jobs overstated by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And this is not the first time it's happened. And you and I have talked about this for years now. For years, this administration, the Labor Department, has had to go back after every important political event and revise all of these numbers downward. And it really does beg the question whether or not they're using the Labor Department as an arm of their political campaigns to either hide bad news or try to make up good news to help Democrats win elections. And it's so glaring, it's so obvious, and it kind of makes you wonder why we even have a Department of Labor.
Yeah, well, it sounds conspiratorial, but sometimes these conspiracies have some truth to them. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Don't get hurt at the conventions. Charlie and Ben, great to see you. Thank you very much.